Do you know someone who has spent their entire life trying to deal with bad habits, yet that person always seems to fail? Some people try desperately to overcome their addictions, whether it's alcohol, drugs, or other challenges like obesity and procrastination, but without fail, they always find themselves returning to their old ways just days later. You've probably met someone who announced they were finally going to lose weight. This person started a super restrictive diet, cutting out everything they believed to be unhealthy. They started running and hitting the gym every single day, but days later, when the stress of life, balancing family, work, studies, and that brutal diet set in, that burst of motivation was completely destroyed. That person ends up returning to their bad habits, often in a worse way than before. I know this happens frequently, and maybe that person is you. But what if I told you there's a method, a combination of several philosophies I've discussed here on the channel, that can help you overcome any bad habit? We're talking about problems like obesity, alcohol addiction, or dealing with procrastination. And the best part is, it's a super simple system. This system combines several powerful concepts such as Ikigai, Kaizen, HARA HACHI BU, WABI-SABI, and finally GAMBARU. But I need to warn you right now, this system goes against what many productivity coaches teach about change. It goes directly against what the motivational gurus try to sell us every single day. And it will require you to do something that seems ridiculously small. It will be so small that you'll think it doesn't work, right up until the moment it actually does. But before I show you exactly how this system works, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and comment below which habit do you most want to change in your life. I receive so many comments from people who have applied what we teach on this channel to their own lives and have experienced real, lasting changes, and I am genuinely happy to read each and every one of your feedback. Actually, the idea for this video came from a comment I read, where a subscriber asked me for help overcoming obesity. So, I made this content focusing more on obesity, but what I'm going to teach here can be applied to any area of your life. Thank you so much for your attention. I love all of you who follow me here. Now let's get back to the video. Chapter 1: The Day Everything Changed. Today, I'm going to tell the story of a man named Christopher. Christopher was 40 years old, weighed a staggering 142 kilos, and was dying slowly without even realizing it. He wasn't a bad guy. He'd worked as a stock manager in a warehouse for 15 long years. He woke up at 500 a.m. and got home at 700 p.m. 2 kids, a wife, bills to pay. He was the typical lower middle class guy who supports his family and completely forgets he has a body. His diet consisted of whatever he had time to eat: breakfast in the car, lunch at his office desk, and dinner watching TV because he was too exhausted to sit at the table with his family. Weekends were for pizza, beer, and the couch. He deserved it. Right, after all, he worked harder than a mule. But his body began to give the first signs that something was seriously wrong. He ignored them. Climbing the stairs became exhausting. Tying his shoes turned into an engineering challenge. He had to sit down, hold his breath, and strain his stomach just to reach his laces. His children would ask him to play tag, and he would make up excuses. His wife suggested a walk in the park, but he was always too tired. But you know what hurt the most? It wasn't the numbers on the scale. It was the look in his 7-year-old daughter's eyes when she stopped asking him to play. She had simply learned that her father didn't play. And Christopher saw that, felt that deep in his bones, and did nothing. Why? Because he had already tried to change before. 3 times he went to the gym for 2 months, but he stopped. He followed a low-carb diet for 3 weeks, but he gave up. He went for a morning run for 5 days, but he quit that too. He had arrived at that dangerous place where most people die without actually dying. The acceptance of defeat. That's just how I am. I've always been fat. It's my genetics. My metabolism is slow. I don't have time. Until the day your body finally says, enough. It was a Saturday morning. Christopher was in the backyard with his 9-year-old son. No, he wasn't playing. He was sitting in a plastic chair just watching the boy play ball alone. The son kicked the ball far away. It landed in the neighbor's flower bed. Dad, can you get it for me? Christopher stood up. He walked to the flower bed. He bent down to pick up the ball. And then he couldn't get up. Not because he was in pain or injured. He simply didn't have the strength in his legs to lift his own body weight. He was on all fours on his neighbor's flower bed, sweating, desperately trying to get up while his 9-year-old son watched silently. The neighbor had to come and help him up. This might sound absurd to you watching, but believe me, there are people who go through this kind of situation, where they can't perform the most basic daily tasks. That night, Christopher sat on the edge of the bed and he cried. He cried because he was 40 years old and needed help getting up off the ground. He cried because his son had witnessed it. He cried because he realized he was building a permanent memory in that child's mind. My father was weak. His wife entered the room. She didn't say anything at first. She just hugged him. And then she said, "You need help, Chris." Really? On Sunday need help? He called the only friend he knew who had lost a significant amount of weight and actually kept it off. A guy named Marcus who had lost 30 kilos and looked different. Not just thinner, but more complete. "Marcus, I need help. Did you go to a doctor? Did you take any medicine? How did you do it?" There was a pause on the other end of the line. "I did go to a doctor, yes," Marcus said, "but not the kind of doctor you're thinking of. He didn't give me medicine. He gave me a philosophy. A philosophy won't make me lose weight, Marcus." "Chris," Marcus replied, "you're wrong, and I'm about to prove it." Chapter 2: The Japanese Doctor. The following Tuesday, Christopher found himself sitting in a minimalist consultation room that looked nothing like a doctor's office. No anatomy posters, no hospital smell, just a wooden table, 2 chairs, and a huge window overlooking a peaceful garden. Dr. Tishi Yamamoto entered. He was about 65 years old, thin with an erect posture and calm, deliberate movements. He didn't look like a doctor, he looked more like a monk. "Christopher, tell me what brought you here." Chris told him everything. The weight, the tiredness, the children, the shame, the humiliating incident in the flower bed. When he finished, he expected to hear about diet plans, exercise regimens, blood tests. Dr. Yamamoto didn't turn on his computer. He didn't pull out any prescriptions. He simply said, "Tell me something. How many times have you tried to lose weight? 3, 4, maybe more. And how long did each attempt last?" 2 months at most, usually just a few weeks. Dr. Yamamoto nodded slowly. "Do you know why you failed?" Christopher started the list that everyone talks about. Lack of time, genetics, slow metabolism. The doctor raised his hand, gently interrupting. "No, you failed because you tried to win a 40-year war in a 2-month battle. Your body took 40 years to reach this weight. Your mind took 40 years to build these habits. And you think you can undo all of that in just a few weeks?" Silence filled the room. "Christopher, I'm going to make you a proposition. I'm going to ask you to make a change today. A change so small that you'll think I'm joking. So small that it will seem completely pointless. Do you accept?" Chris was desperate. "I'll accept anything." "Great. From today onwards, every day when you wake up, before doing anything else, you're going to drink a single glass of water. That's all. Just a glass of water." Christopher waited for the rest. It didn't come. Just that. A glass of water. A glass of water every day for 2 weeks. Nothing else. You can continue eating pizza, drinking beer, watching TV, just add that 1 glass of water in the morning. "Doctor, with all due respect, I need to lose about 50 kilos. A glass of water isn't going to do that." "You're right," Dr. Yamamoto said, leaning forward. "A glass of water isn't going to make you lose 50 kilos. But it will do something much more important. It will prove to you that you can keep a promise to yourself. And right now, that proof is the only thing you really need." Christopher left the doctor's office feeling confused and more than a little annoyed. He had paid $200 for a consultation only to be told to drink water. But something Dr. Yamamoto said kept nagging at him. A promise to yourself. How many promises had he broken over the years? How many Mondays had he sworn he would change, only to give up by Wednesday? If he couldn't even trust himself, how could he possibly change anything? That night, almost as an act of defiance, he filled a glass with water and left it on his bedside table. The next morning, when the alarm clock rang at 5:00 a.m., he saw the glass, he drank it. Simple as that. Day 2, same thing. Day 3, same. Then on day 7, something unexpected happened. He woke up just before his alarm clock, and the first thought in his head was, "Where's my glass of water?" His brain had begun to expect it. On the 14th day, he returned to the doctor's office. Dr. Yamamoto asked, "Did you drink water every day?" "How do you flee?" "A little silly. I didn't lose any weight, but I don't know. I did it. I actually did something for 2 whole weeks." The doctor smiled warmly. "You've just learned the first principle of Japanese philosophy that will change your life. It's called Kaizen. Continuous improvement through microscopic changes. You didn't try to climb the mountain all at once. You just took 1 step and then another and then another." "But doctor, it was just a glass of water." "It's not about the glass of water, Christopher. It's about proving to your brain that change is possible. That you are not the type of person who gives up. Now tell me, are you ready for the next step?" Christopher felt a flicker of something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. "What is it?" "Keep drinking your water in the morning, but now add 1 more thing. Put half the food you would normally put on your plate, just half. You can have seconds if you're still hungry after 20 minutes, but for now just half." Christopher remained silent. This too seemed far too small. But he had been drinking water for 14 days straight. He had proven something to himself. "Okay, I'll do it." "Great. We'll talk again in 3 weeks." Chapter 3: The Hidden Philosophy. What Dr. Yamamoto didn't explain at that moment, but which Christopher would gradually discover, was that he wasn't just changing habits. He was being introduced to a complete philosophical system that the Japanese have used for centuries. Kaizen was just the gateway. The concept of continuous improvement of 1% per day. The idea that you don't need to be perfect tomorrow, you just need to be 1% better than you are today. And if you improve by just 1% per day for a year, you don't end up 365% better. You end up 3778% better. It's exponential. One of the secrets behind introducing these small habits is that they act as keystone habits. These are habits that, once implemented, trigger a cascade of positive changes in other areas of your life. They act like a lever, or the first domino in a long line. By focusing on improving just that one core habit, you begin to have small wins that almost automatically facilitate and boost the creation of other good habits. But there were other philosophies at work there that Christopher was not yet aware of. The first week with half the food on his plate was brutal. He would finish eating and just stare at the stove, his brain screaming, "You're still hungry, eat more." But then he remembered Dr. Yamamoto's words, "Wait 20 minutes. If you're still hungry, eat more." Do you know how many times in those 3 weeks he actually went back to eat more after 20 minutes? Twice, only twice, because his body wasn't truly hungry. It was just spoiled. It was addicted to the feeling of being stuffed. Dr. Yamamoto was teaching him about HARA HACHI BU without even mentioning the name yet. It's the ancient Okinawan principle of eating until you're only 80% full. The science behind it is simple. Your stomach takes about 20 minutes to signal to your brain that it's satisfied. If you fill your plate and eat quickly, you blow right past that point and only realize it when you have a stomach ache. At the next appointment, Christopher had lost 3 kilos. It's not about the weight, Dr. Yamamoto said. It's about the direction. You're going in the right direction. For the first time in 40 years, your body is moving where you want it to go. I feel different, Christopher admitted. Not just lighter, I feel in control. Because you are. Now the next step, you're going to add movement, but not in the way you're thinking. No gym, no running. You will walk from your front door to your mailbox and back every day. In the morning after your water, before you get in the car for work. Christopher laughed out loud. "Doctor, the mailbox is 20 meters from my door. This isn't exercise. It's not about exercise." The doctor corrected him gently. "It's about creating the habit of movement. Your body has forgotten that it was made to move. You're going to remind it gently. 20 meters today. Next week, maybe you'll want to go to the corner, but today, just to the mailbox." Christopher did what the doctor told him to. Water in the morning, half his food, walk to the mailbox. On the 3rd day of the walk, his 7-year-old daughter saw him heading out. "Dad, can I come with you?" They walked together to the mailbox. She held his hand. She talked about school and her best friend, little things she had never told him before because her father was always too tired to listen. When they returned, she asked, "Can we do this every day?" The following week, Christopher started going to the corner store. Not because the doctor told him to, but because his daughter wanted to walk a little further with him. And for the first time in years, he could do it, without shortness of breath, without back pain. By the end of the 2nd month, he had lost 8 kilos. But the real change wasn't on the scale. It was in the mirror. Not in the body he saw, but in his own eyes. There was a light there that hadn't been there before. During the consultation, Dr. Yamamoto asked, "Christopher, tell me something. Why are you doing all this? To lose weight? No. Why are you really doing this? What is the underlying reason?" Christopher thought for the first time. He really truly thought, I want to see my children grow up. I want to walk my daughter down the aisle someday. I want to have quality time with my wife. I want to feel worthy of myself." Dr. Yamamoto nodded, a look of deep satisfaction on his face. "That is your Ikigai, your reason for being." The Japanese believe that everyone has an Ikigai, a purpose. Your Ikigai isn't about losing weight. It's about being present for your family. The weight is just the obstacle standing between you and your purpose. That changed everything. Because now, when Christopher didn't want to wake up early, he didn't think about water or dieting. He thought about his daughter holding his hand. When he wanted to fill his plate again, he didn't think about calories. He thought about walking her down the aisle. Purpose is not motivation. Motivation fades with the slightest resistance, but purpose is a fuel that never runs out. Or so he thought, because a storm was coming that would test this new fuel to its absolute limit. Chapter 4: The First Fall. 3 months later, Christopher had lost 14 kilos. His clothes started to feel loose. Co-workers asked what he was doing. Just a few minor adjustments, he would reply with a smile. But then came Thanksgiving Day. You know how it is, a table groaning with food. Turkey, mashed potatoes, pumpkin pie, pecan pie. The whole family gathered, everyone serving enormous plates, and Christopher tried to fit only half of it on his plate. His mother asked, "Is that all? Are you sick?" His brother-in-law chimed in, It's Thanksgiving. Forget the diet for one day." Social pressure is a silent killer of change. Everyone wants you to go back to being who you were, because your transformation makes them uncomfortable about who they are. Christopher gave in. He filled his plate. He ate until he couldn't eat anymore. He felt that horrible, familiar sensation of being too full, of having failed. That night he looked in the mirror and thought, damn it, I broke the streak. I'm going to give up like I always do. The next morning, he didn't want to drink his water. He didn't want to walk. The old, destructive pattern was returning. Since I've already failed, I might as well give up completely. But then he remembered something Dr. Yamamoto had said, a warning he hadn't fully understood at the time. You will fail. And when that happens, you will find out if you have truly changed. He picked up his cell phone and texted the doctor. Doctor, I ate too much yesterday. I ruined everything. I don't know if I can go on. The reply came in just 2 minutes. Come to the office this afternoon. Christopher sat in his usual chair expecting a scolding or a motivational speech. Dr. Yamamoto came in, sat down and calmly said, tell me what happened. Chris explained everything. The Thanksgiving dinner, the pressure from his family, the failure, the overwhelming urge to just give up. And did you drink your water this morning? Dr. Yamamoto asked. Yes. And did you walk? I walked. So you didn't fail, Christopher. You stumbled. There is a huge difference between stumbling and falling. When you stumble, you lose your balance for a second. When you fall, you stop moving completely. The doctor leaned forward. Christopher, I'm going to teach you about WABI-SABI. It's a Japanese philosophy that celebrates imperfection. The idea that nothing is permanent, nothing is perfect, and nothing is complete. And that this imperfection is where true beauty lies. So you ate too much one day. So what? Does that erase the 14 kilos you've already lost? Does it erase 3 months of waking up early and drinking water? Does it erase the walks with your daughter? One imperfect day does not destroy a perfect journey. Christopher felt something break inside him. Not him breaking, but the expectation of perfection finally shattering. But what if I overate again? You will. Multiple times. And every time it happens, you will wake up the next day and drink your water. Because the practice isn't about never failing. It's about always returning. That changed everything for Christopher. For the first time in his life, he wasn't trying to be perfect. He was trying to be consistent. And consistency accepts imperfection. Perfection rejects reality. Now, Dr. Yamamoto continued, I'm going to teach you about GAMBARU. It means perseverance, the ability to endure even when it's difficult. You showed GAMBARU today. You overate yesterday. You didn't want to continue today, but you drank your water and you walked anyway. That is GAMBARU, enduring the discomfort of a bad day because you know it's temporary. In the following months, Christopher relapsed several times. At Christmas, he overate. On his son's birthday, he had too much cake. On a stressful weekend, he went back to pizza and beer. But every single time he stumbled, he returned. Water in the morning, half on the plate, a walk. And something remarkable happened. The falls started to become smaller and less frequent. Because each time he returned, his brain learned a new lesson. We don't give up anymore. We just keep going. By the 6th month, he had lost 23 kilos. But the real transformation wasn't visible on the scale. It was in the moment he went downstairs to play Lego with his son, and then got up off the floor effortlessly, without even thinking about it. It was the night his wife suggested a walk after dinner and he said yes without hesitation. It was the Saturday when his daughter asked to play tag and he chased her around the yard, laughing, sweating, and feeling more alive than he had in 2 decades. His wife watched from the kitchen window and smiled, because the man she had married was finally returning. Not just his body, but his very essence. Chapter 5: The question that changes everything. By the 9th month, Christopher had lost 35 kilos. He wasn't just walking to the corner anymore. He was walking 30 minutes every day. He was no longer putting half on his plate out of sheer discipline. He was doing it because his body no longer craved that much food. But something deeper had shifted. He had become a fundamentally different person. During that month's consultation, Dr. Yamamoto posed a simple question. Christopher, when was the last time you thought about giving up? Chris paused, genuinely trying to remember. Last week, last month? He couldn't pinpoint it. I don't know, he said, surprised. It's been a while? You know why that is? The doctor asked. Because you stopped trying to change and started living differently. It's no longer about effort. It's about identity. You're no longer a fat guy trying to lose weight. You are simply a guy who takes care of himself. That is the difference between temporary change and permanent transformation. The doctor pulled out a piece of paper and drew 5 connected circles. Everything I've taught you in these 9 months can be summarized in these 5 philosophies. Ikigai, you've discovered your purpose, being there for your family. Kaizen, you improve by 1% per day. Water, food, movement, small changes that accumulated. HARA HACHI BU, you learn moderation, eating to 80%, not 120%. WABI-SABI, you accepted imperfection. You stumbled many times and you always returned. And GAMBARU, you held on. On the tough days, you did the bare minimum just to maintain momentum. Christopher looked at the paper. Those 5 simple words explained his entire complex transformation. "Doctor, can I take this?" "You can. But I want you to understand one thing. This isn't a weight loss system, it's a lifestyle system. You can apply this to anything you want to change: career, relationships, finances, anything." Christopher left the office that day holding more than just a piece of paper. He was holding the blueprint to his new life. He was about to face the ultimate test to see if this blueprint was truly foolproof. Chapter 6e. The Moment of Truth. In the 12th month, Christopher went for a routine blood test. He hadn't had one in years because he was afraid of what he would find out. The doctor at the health center came in with the results and stared at the paper with a completely confused look. "Christopher, have you started any new treatment? Any new medication?" "Why?" Christopher asked, his heart starting to pound. "Your cholesterol has dropped to normal levels, your blood pressure is perfect for the first time in years, and your blood sugar is excellent. What on earth are you doing?" Christopher laughed, a deep, genuine laugh from his belly. "Drinking a glass of water in the morning." The doctor didn't get the joke, but Chris did, because it hadn't happened because of the water. It had happened because of 365 days of making small, better choices. A single glass of water doesn't change your cholesterol, but 365 glasses of water plus 365 plates would half the food plus 365 walks. That builds a completely different body. He went home that day, took off his shirt and stood in front of the mirror. For the first time in 20 years, he looked at his own body without shame. He didn't have a six-pack. He still had loose skin in some places. He still had about 15 kilos to lose to reach what doctors would call his ideal weight. But do you know what he saw? He saw a man who had kept a promise to himself every single day for an entire year. By the 18th month, Christopher had lost a total of 52 kilos. He weighed 90 kilos. He wasn't the thinnest man in the world, but he was healthy, he was strong, and most importantly, he was present. His daughter turned 9. They had a party in the park. The children were running around playing tag, and for the first time ever, Christopher ran after them, joining in their game. One of the parents at the party asked, "Dude, how did you lose all that weight?" Christopher considered talking about Japanese philosophies, but he decided not to complicate things. He just smiled and said, "One step at a time." Literally, that night after the party, he was lying in bed with his wife. She turned to him and said, "Do you know what I love most about your transformation?" "What?" "It's not that you lost weight, it's that you came back. The man I married, the father our children deserve. You were here physically before, but you weren't present. Now?" Christopher held her hand tightly. "I almost gave up so many times, but you didn't," she whispered. "No," he said, a quiet strength in his voice. "I didn't give up." A Stanford University researcher studying habit formation discovered that most changes fail not because people are weak, but because they try to change too quickly. The human brain is programmed to resist drastic changes because it interprets them as a threat. But when you introduce microscopic changes, less than a 1% difference per day, the brain doesn't trigger the resistance alarms. You essentially hack your own nervous system. Another study on longevity in Okinawa revealed that the populations who live the longest in the world do not follow radical diets. They follow simple, sustainable principles: moderation in eating, constant low-intensity movement, a clear purpose in life, acceptance of imperfection, and perseverance in the face of difficulties. These 5 characteristics appear consistently in all the blue zones of the world. A neuroscientist at the University of London who studies self-discipline explains, willpower is a limited resource, it depletes throughout the day. But when you transform behaviors into identity, when you stop trying to do and start being someone who does, you no longer need willpower. The behavior becomes automatic because it's part of who you are. But here's the part nobody tells you about real transformation. Christopher didn't stop at losing 52 kilos, because the system he learned wasn't about losing weight. It was about building a life. In his second year, he applied Kaizen to his career. 1 small improvement per day at work. He was promoted to regional manager. In their 3rd year, he applied it to his relationship. He discovered that his purpose with his wife wasn't just being married. It was to build a partnership where they both grew together. They started taking nightly walks, having real conversations, planning for a shared future. His daughter is 12 years old now. The other day she said, "Dad, do you remember when you couldn't play with me?" "I remember, me too," he said softly. "But you know what I remember most," she continued, "the day you started walking with me to the mailbox. That's when I knew you were going to be okay." Christopher realized at that moment that his transformation hadn't been just his, it had been his whole family's. Because when you change, you give permission for everyone around you to change too. His son, now 14, started waking up early to exercise without anyone telling him to, because he saw his father doing it. His wife started meditating because she saw that deep change was possible. Transformation isn't contagious, it's permissive. It grants permission. Chapter 70, The Complete System. At 2 years after that first consultation, Christopher weighed 88 kilos. He had maintained his weight loss for over a year. He still drinks his water every morning. He still walks every day. He still eats until he's 80% satisfied, because that's simply who he is now. But the craziest part, he trains other people now. People from work see his transformation and ask, "How did you do that?" And you know what he says, "Let me ask you something. What's the smallest change you can make today?" People always respond with something big, like, "Oh, I can start going to the gym." He shakes his head. No smaller than that. Much smaller. Like what? Like drinking a glass of water in the morning. The person laughs. That's all. That's all for 2 weeks. Then we'll talk again. 9 out of 10 people don't come back to talk to him. They're still out there searching for the magic solution, the 21-day diet, the lightning fast transformation, the miracle pill. But what about that 10th person? That person comes back in 2 weeks and says, "I drank water every day and you were right." And Christopher knows with absolute certainty that this person understood. This person will succeed. Dr. Yamamoto retired. During his last consultation, he told Christopher, "You know, you never really needed me, right? Everything I taught you was already inside you. I just gave you permission to go slowly. Permission to be imperfect. Permission to keep going even when it was difficult. But the strength was always yours, Doctor." Christopher said, his voice thick with emotion, "I literally couldn't get up from a squatting position a few years ago." Physically, no, the doctor agreed. But mentally, you got up from a squatting position every single day of your life. Every day you woke up, went to work, supported your family, endured the tiredness, the frustration, the shame. You always had GAMBARU. You just didn't know you had it. That broke Christopher open. So all I needed was, you needed a system that respected who you were. A system that didn't demand you become a superhero overnight. A system that accepted your humanity, your imperfection, your wariness, and used all of that to foster transformation, not fight against it. The Japanese philosophies I taught you aren't about being perfect. They're about being human and continuing to be human every single day, without stopping. Christopher embraced Dr. Yamamoto that day, a wave of immense gratitude washing over him. Because that man hadn't just saved his life, he had given it back to him. But Christopher's journey was about to take one final, unexpected turn, proving that the system's power extended far beyond his own body. Chapter 80, The Legacy. There's a photo on Christopher's living room wall. In it, he weighs 142 kilos, sitting in a plastic chair in the backyard, just watching his children play. Not participating, just watching. And right next to that photo, there's another one. It's him at 88 kilos, sitting on the floor, playing Lego with his son, while his daughter jumps on his back laughing. His wife took that second photo without him knowing, and when he saw it, he asked, "Why did you take that picture?" She replied, "Because this is the moment I've been waiting for 10 years. The moment you came back." But do you know what the most important part of this whole story is? It's not that Christopher lost 52 kilos. It's not that he reversed his pre-diabetes. It's not that he got a promotion. His daughter, who is now 12 years old, recently told her friend at school, "My father is the most disciplined person I know." Because she grew up watching him drink water every day, watching him walk every day, watching him stumble, fall, get up, and keep going. She grew up seeing that transformation isn't about motivation, it's about identity. And when she's 20, 30, 40, and life gets tough, she'll remember. She'll remember that her father proved that change is possible. One small choice at a time, one day at a time, forever. This is the real legacy. Not the transformed body, but the living, breathing proof that you can become who you want to be. You just need the patience to build that person one brick at a time. Now let me ask you something. You've made it this far in the video. That means you're searching for something. Maybe it's losing weight like Christopher. Maybe it's conquering another addiction. Maybe it's just the nagging feeling that you're not living the life you should be living. You might be thinking, "This doesn't work for me. My situation is different, more difficult, more complicated." You're right, your situation is different, but the system is the same. Because no matter what your addiction is, your bad habit, or the life you want to change, the problem is never a lack of information. You know you need to eat better. You know you need to exercise. You know you need to sleep more and drink less. You know all of this. The problem isn't knowing, it's doing. And you can't do it because you're trying to do everything at once. You're trying to become a different person by tomorrow. You're trying to win a 20-year war in a 21-day battle. And every time you try, you fail. And every time you fail, you prove to yourself that you can't do it, and then it becomes your identity. I am a person who can't do it. I am a person without discipline. I am a weak person. But you're not. You're just using the wrong system. The system I presented here isn't about rapid change. It's about permanent change. You don't need 30 days of transformation. You need 30 years of consistency. And consistency only happens when the task is so simple it's sustainable, even on your worst days. So let me give you the same challenge that Dr. Yamamoto gave to Christopher. But this time there's a twist, a hidden layer that will determine if you're truly ready. Choose one change, the smallest one possible. So small that you'll feel like an idiot doing it. So small that it seems like it won't make any difference at all. A glass of water in the morning, 5 push-ups before bed, 1 minute of meditation, 1 page from a book, anything. But it has to be so small that you can't possibly use an excuse not to do it, and do this for 2 weeks. Don't try to add anything else. Don't try to speed things up. Just do this one small thing every single day for 14 days. And when you get to day 14, you will have proven something to yourself. Not that you can lose weight or quit smoking, but that you can keep a promise to yourself. And that proof is the only thing you really need. Because when you know you can keep a small promise, you know you can keep any promise. Then you add another small change, and then another, and then another. And before you know it, you're a different person. Not because you tried to change, but because you built a new identity, one microscopic choice at a time. Christopher took a few years. Maybe it will take you 3. It doesn't matter, because time will pass anyway. The question is, in 5 years, will you be in the same place, looking in the mirror with shame? Or will you be looking in the mirror and seeing someone who has fulfilled every promise they made to themselves? Ikigai gives you purpose. Kaizen gives you method. HARA HACHI BU gives you moderation. WABI-SABI gives you compassion. GAMBARU gives you strength. You don't need them all at once. You just need to start with one thing today. And when you stumble, because you will, you don't give up. You just get back up. Because the practice isn't about never falling. It's about always getting back up. If you enjoyed this content, if it helped you in any way, I invite you to comment below. But don't just tell me your big goal. Tell me what the smallest change is that you're going to make starting tomorrow. Don't tell me your complete transformation plan. Just tell me the first thing, the smallest one. The one you're going to do tomorrow morning. Because when you write it publicly, you've just made a statement. You've turned an idea into a commitment. And public commitment is where change begins. I'll make an effort to read every comment. And in 2 weeks I'll come back here to see who followed through. Who drank the water? Who did the push-ups? Who took that first microscopic step towards becoming the person they want to be? You don't need to be perfect, you just need to start. But before you go, I have one last question. A question that will reveal if you're truly ready for this. Christopher's story began when he couldn't get up off the ground. His transformation began with a glass of water. My question to you is this: what is your flower bed? What is the moment, the feeling, the shame that is finally painful enough to make you take that first, ridiculously small step? Think about it, because the answer to that question is the only motivation you will ever need. If you've watched this far, thank you so much for your attention and your time. This means you are truly committed to your transformation. See you in the next video. And remember, be present, walk with honor, and follow the path of one small step at a time.